This is more about like how do you utilize this in a class setting, which is if you're gonna do this with an athlete, line up everybody on the wall. What you're quickly going to be able to identify is who are my athletes that struggle more in the movement, in the positions. And now that everybody's facing the wall, I can give those folks some extra TLC without having to kind of single them out during the class. Welcome back to Cirque Black Talk. I'm Jason Fernandez. We're here at CrossFit Rife. Today we're going to talk a little bit about squat therapy because it is widely misused once people learn the technique. So we're going to use Will, and Will is actually a prime candidate for this for a couple reasons. Just has a slightly immature squat, but he also, like myself, has had a recent Achilles rupture, which has restricted some of his ankle mobility. So we're going to take a look at Will's air squat real quick. So go ahead, Will's in his setup. Go ahead and squat. Good. And then stand. So push your knees out real quick and then bring that up by 1 inch down there at the bottom. And squat. Good. So arms up real quick. So notice that his hips are pretty far back and he's a little bit more weight on the backside of the frontal plane, which would be referenced at the ankle, and stand. So what we're talking about is that immature squat where the athlete is cantilevered forward, which is not necessarily really problematic in the air squat. Much more of a problem once we get to the front squat or the overhead squat because the bar is going to be way out in front of the frontal plane. Now, there's a couple different ways you can assess this to try to basically get to a solution. So the first one, what I want to do is I just want to evaluate, is it in fact ankle mobility? So what I would do is just you can put a PVC pipe down here, or you could put somebody in lifters. If you're going to use a PVC pipe as the coach, make sure your foot is on the PVC pipe so that they don't fall. So we have Will's first couple squats. We're going to do a little compare and contrast on that one just by raising the heels and squat. So right off the bat, much more balanced because when we raise the heels, the knees get to come forward, which brings the hips forward, which then brings the torso upright, and stand. Good. Now, go ahead and stand and hop off. Now, a lot of people immediately jump to say, hey, this is tight ankles. But if we can replicate that with a kind of a one form of squat therapy where we would have Will hold this plate out in front, we might be able to replicate that same squat absent of raising the heels, and squat. So much better, and stand. I like to see him try to push his knees forward a little bit, and squat. And stand. That one was knee initiated, but what I'm saying is I want him to bring his hips forward. You can put that down, Will. I want him to bring his hips forward at the bottom of the squat. So if you can get the same result in the squat position with the plate as you could with the heels on the PVC pipe, it means it's not necessarily an ankle issue. It could be an awareness issue. By giving them this weight here to do a little bit of a counterbalance, we can get the same position, which means they might just have need to work on some of the rectors and giving them something to pull on. Now, once we've established that, we need homework. So you can do this drill with the plate with the entire class if you needed to. Break out 10, 15-pound plates, do your squat mechanics, call all your reps. Everybody has a plate. This gets everybody in the upright position. Everybody gets the stimulus of that. Now, if we're talking about the more traditional squat therapy where we do this on the wall, this is also something that is usually misused and is used as a punishment, meaning like, hey, Will, your squat blows or whatever, and go over there and punish yourself on the wall. Here's my challenge to you. If you're gonna give one person squat therapy, you can give it to the whole class. Line up everybody on the wall and give everybody squat therapy. You'll have to demonstrate how to do this. So if you're not familiar with squat therapy, there's tons of videos on CrossFit.com. You can find them all over the place, but the general premise is this. So if Will sets up over here, he's gonna face the wall. Start your athlete about 12 to 18 inches off of the wall. Make sure that you have the medicine ball here. It's kind of their depth indicator, but it also helps if in fact they get off balance and they need to take a seat. So what Will's trying to do is as he squats, I don't want him to have his hands touch the wall. So he's gonna have his hands up and squat and stand. Yeah, push those knees out for me and squat A little bit lower, a little bit lower, a little bit lower, and stand. Good, and relax. So what we're doing as we go through this drill, you can relax, Will, is a couple things. The wall and the ball take care of a couple things for me as a coach, so I can be a little bit more intentional about where my eyes go. The wall's making sure his chest isn't coming forward. The ball there is a depth indicator, which allows me to take my eyes and make them a little bit more intentional and say I need to look directly at the hip, the knee, and the ankle to see if the heels are coming up. Is it a knee-initiated squat? Is he getting depth? Is it a quarter extremity violation? All of that stuff. And then what you can do is you gradually scoot the athlete closer and closer to the wall, with the desired end state being somebody who can get, who can get almost toes to the wall and get down into that squat. I can't get all the way down there, but if I spend a month on that, I could probably get toes to the wall. So do squat therapy with your athletes, do it with your whole class. And what I would tell you is give yourself a 30-day squat therapy challenge. You're gonna be hard pressed to convince me that your squat didn't get better and that you didn't learn some things in the process. If you have people that struggle with depth and that med ball is not the appropriate height, just stack some plates to bring the med ball up a little bit higher. Again, I'm not gonna go too deep into the weeds on all squat therapy. There's a ton of content out there on the old interwebs about how to do this. This is more about how do you utilize this in a class setting, which is if you're gonna do this with an athlete, line up everybody on the wall. What you're quickly going to be able to identify is who are my athletes that struggle more in the movement, in the positions. And now that everybody's facing the wall, I can give those folks some extra TLC without having to kind of single them out during the class. So use squat therapy, use that PVC pipe or some weightlifting shoes to do a little bit of an evaluation on the ankle flexibility, but then double down on that evaluation with doing the plate, holding it up, because again, don't just jump to the conclusion that they have tight ankles or something like that. You're not a doctor, so don't be a doctor. The more diagnostic tools you have, the better off you're gonna be, the more capable you're gonna be to put together a plan that's gonna help your athletes get to the right solution. So if you're gonna give people homework on that plate, 25 reps every day. And here's how you know if this is working. So 25 reps, I'm gonna hold this plate up here. Boom, at the end of every day when I go through this, on the 25th rep, here, I'm gonna drop the plate. If I can hold this position, then I'm good. That means we've made some significant change. But if I'm down here at the bottom and I drop this plate and I'm off balance, that means we need to come back the next day and redo this all over again. So squat therapy, dive into that, start really digging into squat mechanics. There's no reason you shouldn't do this before back squat, front squat, overhead squat day to really, really hone in those mechanics and make people work before you actually get on a barbell. So if you have questions about squatting, squat therapy, any of that stuff, please drop those in the comments. We'll get those answered for you. If you like this content, please subscribe to the YouTube channel and we'll see you next time. Thanks.